Welcome to the Dominate Ductless podcast, where we tell the stories of entrepreneurs who are building their businesses that are focused on ductless heat pumps. I'm Mike Cappuccio, the owner of Dominate Ductless, and I'm excited today to have longtime friend and business owner Al Fugendes from Fugendes Plumbing and Heating. Al has two locations, one in Tyngsborough, Massachusetts, and the second one is in Nashua, New Hampshire. Good morning, Al. How are you?
Morning, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. So, Al, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started in this role of this great HVAC and plumbing industry that we're in today, and how did it all evolve?
Well, my brother took it as a trade in Greater Lowell High School back in '93. So what ended up happening is he kind of got his feet wet and he was out there doing the work. And he asked me to go help him with a side job, which was putting in some baseboard heat. So I went with him. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. He paid me cash. I was like, oh, I felt rich,
How old are you at this time?
And we did this job. And I said, all right, 16.
Okay. So you're not that old. Okay.
I was about 16 years old. And so I said, all right, I'm going to take the high school to be in carpentry possibly, or to be a chef or something like that. And I decided to do plumbing. So I ended up going to school. I ended up doing plumbing, graduated in '99. I had a few co-op jobs in between. And then I ended up deciding to go to, I ended up being in the union, plumbers union in Boston for 3 to 4 years. And I did that. I got my license and I decided that I wanted to learn the residential side of it. I was doing a lot of big projects. I was working with on the big dig. I did a lot of wastewater treatment plants. And I decided that I was ready to kind of learn the other side of the business, which was going back to the residential side, which I started in. And then I did that for a while for a couple of shops. And then I decided in 2003, just like anybody else, right? They go in the business, they think they can do it better than their boss or whatever it was, right? So in 2003, I decided to go out on my own. Yeah, it was fun for the first couple of years, and then you start to see, how business really is, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks. And the first couple of years, you kind of make a ton of money, and then in 2008, I decided that I was going to start to do HVAC. So I put myself through the Peterson School, learning refrigerant,
Okay.
Trying to figure out, at this time, I already had my journeyman's license in plumbing. I already had my master's license in plumbing. I think I already had done my oil license as well. So I'm like, all right, refrigerant's the next. So I got my EPA card. I went to school. I got my EPA card. And then I had a builder that I was working for in the Cambridge area at the time. And he was like, hey, I want to hire you to do the HVAC side. I know you went to school for it. He goes, what do you think? I said, we can try it. I said, I don't have a lot of experience with ductwork, but I'm sure I can figure this out. And I had a lot of people in the industry that would have helped me out. And my vendor at the time, they walked me through sizing and stuff like that and putting together the stockers.
Yeah.
So then I started to do new construction houses. I was doing the plumbing side of it, and I was doing the HVAC side of it, doing forced hot air and doing AC systems. And that went well. And then as we grew in about 2011, I decided to hire a consultant because I got to a point where I was like, hey, I want to.
About 7 years in now, 7, 8 years in.
Yeah, at this point, I was close to 7, 8 years in. And I had grown, actually. There was a little spot there in between that I grew. I grew like 3, 4 guys, but then I regressed because I didn't know how to manage everybody. So at one time, I think I had like 4 or 5 guys in like 2006, but then slowly regressed. And I was like, I'm just going back to myself and a guy in a truck. I says, it's just easier that way. And then 2011, I had this epiphany. I joined a new BNI group, and I was like, you know what? I need to hire a consultant. I really want to grow this. I'm tired of doing this by myself. There's got to be a better way to be in business. And then I hired somebody that was local in Chelmsford, Mass. And then I grew it from there on out. Every year was like we were growing 100% and 100%. And then it kind of slowed down over the years. But it really was like the thing that kind of got me started. Truly being in business was hiring
having a true coach where you were being held accountable, putting processes in place, and
Yeah.
That's like what you just said, Al. It's the hardest part is you start this
It
business.
is.
Talking about this earlier on a podcast today where it was like, you know, the technician starts the business that's really good at what they do. They're really good
Yeah.
at putting in HVAC and plumbing and electrical and all these other items. But like you said, and I got to tell you, you're being as honest as you can be, and it's like you hit the roadblock. I mean, I hit the same thing in my business, and I learned the hard way. It's like I bought another business and I learned I wasn't making money, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? You feel like you're killing yourself and you're going backwards at that point. I found out that
Yeah,
way.
you do.
You need to hire someone that knows that is smarter than us in business because we're not
Yeah.
really business people. We're installation and service people and stuff like that, And so how did it revolve? How did it evolve to the role that you're in now? How did you get, I guess, what is your day-to-day role now?
I mean, the first thing he had to teach me was the mind shift of getting somebody in the office for me, right? Because that was the hardest piece. The hardest piece is like, how am I going to pay for this person that's going to be in my office that's not physically working with their hands? It's like you can't figure that out in the beginning. But once you figure that out and you see how much free time that frees you up by having people help you on the office side, you're like, oh, I'm starting to get this, right?
Now you can go sell more.
Yeah, now you can sell more, you can do more, and then you start to hire other people and you allocate them to do other things, and now you're out selling a little bit more, a little bit less hands-on. And as you grow, you kind of let things go and you just administer, and you make sure that they're doing their job. But at the same time, is you got to let them do their job and not micromanage.
Yeah, you have to delegate, let them do their job. What
Yeah.
are your day-to-day roles now, El? What do you do now?
Part-time sales. My brother had retired in December, so I went back to part-time sales. So I'm doing the plumbing sales. He was really heavy into doing our plumbing sales.
Okay.
So we do some plumbing installs, which our plumbing installs consist of 1 or 2 day plumbing jobs for direct to homeowners. Either be they're doing a bathroom remodel, or we're doing our whole home repipe, or tankless water heaters, that type of stuff.
It's not new construction plumbing?
Not new construction. I left new construction at least before COVID.
Why?
Again, there's no money in it, right? And it goes back to, let's go back to ductless, right? You could do 2 ductless jobs and make more money than you can do a brand new house in plumbing.
Wow. Because there's not a lot of material. It's all pipe.
It's all pipe and it's all labor.
A lot of layer. It's like what I found out in cut-ins in HVAC. A lot of duct work, a lot of things like that you're putting in homes. But it takes somebody to say, a consultant or someone to go, hey, Al, wait a minute, you're not making this kind of money over here. You kind of know it, but you don't really want to hear it. I was like in that frame of mind, right? You really want to hear someone telling me that I wasn't doing a good job because I'm the smartest guy in the room and I know everything. Well, you know what? I found out I wasn't the smartest guy in the room.
And you're trying to make up that revenue, right? Because it's a big revenue number that comes in when you do a new house.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, it's like, oh, there was a lot of money in material, pipe, fittings, glue, labor. And this is all that's left over. And next thing you know, you're at their mercy. They're telling you what their schedule is, what your schedule is. The builders.
Exactly. And the other thing too is everything's going up in cost around us in COVID.
Yeah.
Everything's going up in price. And these builders don't want to hear that, well, you did it for 5,000. Why is it now 10,000?
Yeah.
Well.
And again, I don't want to give every builder a bad rap, but
I don't want to either.
How it is. The thing is too, is you're their bank. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'll finish paying you when we start the next job. I'll finish paying you when we start the next job. You get to a point, so like, dude, if I quit this guy, maybe I don't get paid my last piece, But it got to a point. I got caught up, and I was just like, I'm done.
I've seen them put guys out of business because they don't get paid till the house gets sold or whatever. Like you said, I'm not giving every builder a bad name either. There are some good ones out there.
Yep.
There absolutely are. But, there's also some bad ones too. But, so let's talk a little like where did we meet, Al? When's the first time we ever met, or when's the first time you ever heard of me?
The first time I met you actually was there was a Mitsubishi training going on about Facebook. And there was somebody from Mitsubishi that was putting that on, and you came in, I think, one of the days to speak about it.
Okay. All right. Was it at a big dealer meeting? Was it at a big dealer meeting?
I don't think so. I don't think it was a big dealer meeting.
Okay.
And it might have been a meeting where EBL at the time was EBL
Yeah, he's
marketing
doing
was
some
kind of in the
marketing stuff.
picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I ended up doing some marketing with them, and that was like my first marketing company that I hired.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still actually around. She kind of does her thing now still. And
Yeah, she rebranded
yeah,
HVAC something.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So I guess from here, when was the first actual training that you came to that I did?
Oh, this was this past November was my first training.
Okay. That's the first 2 day
Yeah.
training I've ever been to. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was like my first big 2 day training that I have done since like COVID in a while. Because I
Wow.
had two kids right after COVID too. So the house got really busy,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
No, that's a lot of work too.
Yeah, that thing about going
During
away,
COVID.
yeah, that thing yeah, I'm leaving on Monday, I'll be back Thursday. It's not like that anymore when you have two small ones,
Yeah.
so it gets harder.
So let me ask you this question. You come to this training. What are your expectations coming to this training? Well, how did you hear about the training? How did you find out about this? What I like to always know this.
Actually, one of my technicians, that's actually our install manager, he's like, "Hey, do you know Mike Cappuccio?" I was like, "Yeah." Says he's doing a training through ACA New England. We were members for ACA New England. And then he's like, "Did you see the email?" I said, "No, I didn't." So he sends me the email. I was like, "Oh, I gotta go to this." And I think that there was
Why
about
do you got to
30
go to
days left
this?
to
Why
sign
do you got
up.
to go to this? Why do you got
Oh,
to go?
you're the ductless. Everybody knew you as the ductless guru. You
Okay.
know,
All right.
so I'm like, hey, I got to go to this. He was the owner of N.E.T.R. I said, I want to see what he has to say. And I really love that class. I couldn't get enough of it. I had to leave early, about an hour early the last day. I'm like, I was killing myself. I was like, I have to.
We all have things we need to do. So you come to this class, you're sitting there the first day. What are your expectations? What are you trying to walk away from in here? And I guess what are two or three real highlights that hit you in there that said, I can take these things and implement them into my company and think or things that you saw that you said, I need to do this that really helped.
Actually, the first two things that I've implemented were the most simplest things, but it would be the mostly what I think most people wouldn't do. I did the survey and I did the referral program that you did with the $100 bill.
Yeah.
First thing I went out, I printed out the $100 bills. I did those. We do stuffers as soon as the job completes. Put the survey in with the prepaid postage on the other envelope. Put the referral cards in there. Send those out. Call the customer, make sure that they get it and why they're getting it. Those are like the first two things we
You
implement.
get the surveys back, Al?
Yep, yep. And
You know what I
you
mean? You
start
put
to
the
go through.
envelope in.
Yeah, you
Start
start to
to
see
learn a lot, don't you? What have you learned from that?
customers have stuff to say after the job, and sometimes they won't say it to you directly, but if you give them a chance to write it down, they will.
Yeah.
You know,
It allowed me to improve on things. It allowed me to get quotes from customers. It also allowed me to use them as referrals too.
yep.
To say, okay, this was a good customer that we dealt with that, boy, like, because I usually don't hear a lot of guys implement that. Simple, easy things that can just change a business.
And another thing that I learned actually from a class I just recently went to was I started to, as I go out to go see a customer, I'll send them a video of me talking. Hey, I'm on my way out to you. If you have anything that's in the way of an area that we're going to be looking at, if you just want to prep, and it kind of introduces. You'd be surprised when you walk up to a door now. It's like they know you, they've seen you, right, and you've already had an interaction,
It's
and
a,
they open the door with this big smile. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really amazing. The power of video. I'm actually Al. I've been working my butt off
Yeah,
for the last 3 months because I'm redoing all my training. I'm putting in 4 new trainings and redoing all of them and new slides, new material, new things. And I'm learning so much. And actually, Don, who's on as our production guys, I mean, the power of video is so incredible in what you can
yeah.
do in one day with video shoots. Because you can shoot a 2 hour long video and there is so much you can get out of that video and you can make 15-second clips, 30-second clips, 15-minute videos. There's so much of that. Yeah, talking about the power of video. The power of video is so tremendous today. and what you learn from it. And you'd be even more amazed with when you just listen to the chatting that goes on in a home when you're talking to someone shooting home video. But like, I agree with you. I did see that in one of the recommendations was a video. Where did you, is shooting that video prior to going out, talking to them about doing that, you know? What else from my class? Any other highlights that you really pulled away from that you said, you know what? This is something I really didn't realize that I really needed to get involved with.
I like it when I go to different events and I see different ways of allocating labor, gross profit dollars, learning more about that. I think the industry has driven a revenue perspective that's what you should be worried about. When the reality is we should have been more worried about is our margins at the end. So that's a big thing. And I think everybody's like, when you go somewhere, they're like, I'm a $10 million company. I'm a $20 million company. And I'd like to go, well, I want to see what's at the bottom of the line at the end of the day, because you can be a $10 million company still losing money.
It's zero money.
Still get zero, right?
I agree with you 100%. I would sit in these meetings after private equity had bought my company and I was GM now, and I would sit there and listen to all these managers talk about, well, I'm at 10 million, I'm taking this thing to 15 million this year, and I'd be sitting there listening, going, okay, all right, we're gonna drive revenue, but the spending sprees are just crazy, crazy at what was being spent, and you know what is even more. I'm not going to call it funny. I'm actually going to call it kind of sad. Is that I've done probably thousands of trainings across the United States. And when you talk about margin and markup, there are so many contractors that don't understand the difference between it. They don't
It took me a
understand
little
the
while
difference.
to figure that out, though.
It
It
takes
took
a
me a
while
little
to
bit.
figure that out, the margin and the
Right.
markup, because again, we were good technicians. We're out, we're installing, all right, well, I spent 4,000 for the material. I charged $8,000. I made $4,000. Okay. That was a good day.
Another big one is not doing discounts correctly. When you're thinking you're really doing it, you're doing it, say, a 10% discount or a 5% discount. It's actually not 5%. It's more than that. You know what I mean? Well, if you're doing the calculations right,
Do the
right?
calculation right. Sometimes it's 50%.
You're like,
What
wow,
am
I
I
was giving
discounting?
this much
I'm
away.
discounting the
I was,
net profit. Am I correct by saying that?
yeah, I'm like, I was giving too much away. What were they doing?
Yeah, well, think about it. If the job at the end of the day, after all the overhead and everything is said and done, and I made $3,000 on that job, and I gave a $1,500 discount, I gave a 50% discount on that job. Because did the price of the job change?
Well, as far as yeah,
The
yeah,
cost. Did the cost of the job
yeah,
change? No.
yeah,
You made you made the cost of the job change because you gave the
yeah.
discount instead. But I think it takes somebody to show you that people start going, whoa, wait a minute. I got to stop discounting all this stuff and really, putting these big numbers into this thing and changing all these prices around. I guess, you know, why, how long have you really been doing a lot of ductless products now?
Since about 2000. I was actually writing some notes. About 2012, I think, is when I first started with Mitsubishi as a diamond contractor.
Why? Why did you get involved in it?
Actually, it started to dabble into the product. It was coming around at the time. The Granite Group actually had hired somebody to support their HVAC side of the business. His name's Mike Kelly, a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he was the one that actually mentored me, like how to do good, better, best at the table. And he had brought on a line called the Maytag for the hot air side of it, hot air and central.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they had brought Mitsubishi over, and he says, "Hey, would you like to be a dealer? And this is what you need to do to be a dealer." I says, "Yeah, I'll try it," and it grew. Like I was already always into it because I'm from the Azores in Portugal, and we've always had ductless mini splits.
The other
So
part
I
of the
knew
world,
about
right?
it.
That's how we do everything.
Yeah,
Right?
I already knew about it. I was kind of used to seeing it, so it wasn't nothing new to me, and I knew they
Kind of
were.
saying, how come we don't do this here?
Yeah, so it was like the opportunity arose. It says I can do this, and it got more popular. and I would do home shows and get the popularity out there, and it just took off. And it's easy to install as far as like if you're an installer and a technician, it's easy. It's not easy to the homeowner, but for us that does it every day, it's a lot simpler to do than an HVAC ducted system.
Oh, what much easier. I was talking to someone the other day about Mike Kelly, and Mike, they said he's so hard to even get on the phone today because he's doing so many things in the Granite Group now because it's just exploded as far as products go and everything. So that even sees the distribution side of it's really growing. But I always found it as, you know what, it was a moneymaker. It was a moneymaker to me. It was much easier to do exactly what you said. Made money and it was easier to do, and I didn't have a lot of moving pieces with a lot of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then back to the day, there was a handful. I don't even say there was a handful. There was like two or three strong manufacturers, and nowadays it's like everybody's in the space. If you make an appliance, you're in the space, right? Every electronic manufacturer or appliance manufacturer is now in the space, and they all want to be in the U.S. selling them.
Yeah, because they all want to get what they want to get their market share in that. You know what I mean? But in closing, I guess it's just Al, is what would you tell other contractors around the country that really aren't involved in heat pumps at all? What would you tell them? What would you say to them? Not the guys in your area, but the guys in different areas. What would you say to them? What recommendation would you give them?
You're missing an opportunity to grow your company and put yourself ahead of everyone else with heat pumps. The technology is great. It does a great job heating and cooling homes. It does a better job dehumidifying homes. It is a lot safer when it comes to people's health, I would say. You have people with crappy ductwork in their home. Everything's kind of hidden. There's dead skin. There's everything else in that ductwork. And you can put it in a ductless system for a customer and they would be a lot better off. And financially wise, when it comes to their electric rates and everything else that they're paying, it would help bring down their energy costs.
Yeah, this it's
And profit dollars, right? Profit dollars.
profit dollars. I mean, like you just said, Al, I could be making $20 million a year. I could have a $20 million company, but if you're not making any money, you probably got a hell of a lot of debt, I would imagine. And I don't think I'd want
This
to
reminds me.
cheat.
This reminds me of the biggest thing you said in that class. If you do a forced hot air system with an air conditioner and it takes you 2 days to install it, you don't have a box to sell on the second day.
All you're selling is labor on the second day.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't. And think about it when you're doing a cut-in a home and you're there for a week. I love the guys that tell me they can do it in one day. I'm like, God, I'd hire you guys all day long. But I know it took me 4 to 5 days to do one of those jobs. And when we have days like we had on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, or whatever, Tuesday and Wednesday, those 2 days, you want to put your guys in an attic then? How much production
Oh God.
how much production can you possibly get out of two guys on 100-degree day outside? It's got to be 150 in the attic, right?
Yeah, you got to let them.
We're going to find them dead out there at some point, right?
Yeah, it's not worth it. We actually lost a large job, and I was kind of glad we lost it because it would have buried us in this heat wave that we got. And I was very glad that it didn't come our way. And that was the best job I ever got because it would have buried our crews. It would have buried us.
And it's actually sometimes you kind of thank people why things happen sometimes, and you really start to realize, hey, I didn't get that job, but you know what? Are you still busy today?
Oh yeah.
All right.
And I sold a lot more boxes than that one, the handful of boxes I would have sold there with all that ductwork to go with it.
Well, hey Al, thanks for coming on and joining. Always enjoy seeing you. If you need anything, please reach out. ACCA New England we're being very, very active right now. I don't know if you've seen a lot of emails flying around, but there is a lot going on.
And I would tell anybody that's in the mess.
There's a lot going on in the State House right now. So
I really hope that a lot of the people that are listening to this, and if they're in Massachusetts or in the New England area, that they would join ACCA New England and also be a voice.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot going on right now. There are a lot of bills in the State House that we're working on. I mean, I thought I was going to retire, but it's like that I feel like I need to be involved in that because there are a lot of voices that need to be heard. I think licensing isn't far away, and I think we need to fight the utilities because the utilities are coming back on strong again, and they want to be doing the kind of work that you guys are
Yeah.
doing. So be prepared. So we're fighting for you guys, though. All right.
I appreciate your time, Mike. And
Take
thanks
care.
for,
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.